Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. God has given us unlimited treasures in His Word. Every time we open it, we can discover a new treasure or admire an old one. What will we find today? Let's dig in. Here's Carla Early with Treasure Hunt in the Word.
Have you ever had to put up with a bully? I remember bullies in school. They'd do little things that you couldn't tell the teacher about, or you'd be considered petty or a tattletale. But those bullies could really be hurtful, both physically and emotionally. So when one of them stepped over the line and got caught and punished, I remember feeling relieved that I wouldn't be tortured the rest of the day while they were in the principal's office or something. In the Old Testament world, one of the big bullies was Assyria. From what I read, they made their living invading other countries, and they thrived on entertainment that involved different kinds of torture, like skinning people alive. I read that they invented crucifixion. They were bloodthirsty, vicious, cruel, and brutal. So when God sent Jonah to Nineveh, their capital, to prophesy against them, it was much like sending a first grader to tell the school bully that he'd better straighten up or else. Jonah didn't want to, possibly because the idea of what torture they had in store was pretty scary, but also because if they repented, he knew God would have compassion on them and forgive them, and they didn't deserve that at all. They deserved every little drop of wrath that God would send them. But eventually, God got Jonah to Nineveh to preach, "In 40 days, Nineveh will be destroyed." One little sentence. Nothing about God, nothing about the possibility of repentance and reconciliation. But God, in His mercy, had prepared their hearts, and they repented. The bully straightened up. For that generation, anyway. But a few decades later, they were back at it. They destroyed Samaria and took the northern kingdom captive and started threatening Judah. Remember, the Assyrians under King Sennacherib laid siege against Jerusalem during King Hezekiah's time. Hezekiah trusted God, and the Lord fought their battle for them, killing 185,000 Assyrians so that they returned home in humiliation. But Assyria remained a threat. 100 years or so after Jonah prophesied to Nineveh, God sent Nahum. Unlike Jonah, it doesn't look like God sent Nahum to Nineveh. The first verse just tells us that it's a vision about Nineveh that God gave to Nahum. It seems to be more for the Israelites than for Nineveh itself. For one thing, Nahum's name means comfort or consolation. This prophecy was for the Jews, so that they would know that their greatest enemy was no longer a threat. God was going to take out the bully. What a relief! Nahum started out the book of doom and destruction on Nineveh by telling who God is. He's a jealous avenger. He loves His people, and 2 of their kings had started worshiping Assyrian gods. Well, He would show them that He was much more powerful than the Assyrian gods by completely demolishing Nineveh. It was so totally destroyed that the remains weren't uncovered until 1845. All remnants of the Assyrian Empire vanished. Nahum said that the Lord is slow to anger and great in power. It takes a lot to get Him mad, but they'd crossed the line. God is patient to a point. Then He gloriously shows His power. Nahum also shows that the Lord is good and they can trust Him. He is good because He doesn't allow evil to have a permanent reign. What a comfort this must have been to the people of Judah. It can be a comfort to us today, too. We see so much evil going on in the world. I read a magazine from the Voice of the Martyrs that tells of persecution of our Christian brothers and sisters in Indonesia, China, Nigeria, India, Iran, North Korea, Cuba, Colombia, Syria, Ethiopia, all over the world. We see the enemy encroaching on our territory here in the U.S. too. Yes, Satan is alive and active, but he has his boundaries, and he's fighting a losing battle because our God is sovereign and all-powerful. We can trust His timing. Speaking of which, Nahum's prophecies didn't come true for another 50 years, when Babylon attacked and decimated their whole civilization. We have the book of Revelation, so we know who wins in the end, and we know how, but we don't know when. Until then, we can trust God to take care of the bullies in our lives.
You can contact us at treasurehuntintheword@gmail.com. We'd love to hear the treasures God has given you through His Word. You can listen to other episodes at our website, which you can find in the description below. Thanks for listening, and remember, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.